Good morning or afternoon or evening, whenever and wherever you're watching this. My name is Jim. This is Sandman Mystery Media, where we review books, pulps, graphic novels, and comic books. We'll review movies, music, anything I feel like, and cats too, like this guy here, Chunko. Yes, he's a big orange silly goofball, and he loves to be loved. I don't know if you can hear it, but he's purring up a storm right now. Today, though, we are here to talk about one of my favorite pulp characters. Uh, if you don't know who he started off as a radio show back in the 40s, fighting crime, corrupt politicians, even saboteurs during the war. He went on to have his own comic book series. He ended up getting a TV show. And he's still getting comics published today. And that is none other than the Green Hornet and Kato. This is a short story collection called the Green Hornet Chronicles. They're all pulpy short stories. There's 19 of them in here. There's an introduction by Van Williams himself. At the end of the book, there is an interview with the creator of the Black Beauty, for the TV show. And then, of course, there's artist biography, there's art, there's all kinds of cool little giggity googas and doodads in this book. Yes, you want to read this. It is the Green Hornet. And Kato. Kato's really cool. All right. And all the stories in here are particularly really good. Some of the writers that we've got in here, Will Murray, Greg Cox, C.J. Henderson, James Chambers, Richard Dean Starr, Tom Brennan, James Reasoner, Howard Hopkins, Mark Ellis, Rich Harvey, Ron Fortier, Patricia Weekly, Terry Alexander, Robert Greenberger, Bill Spangler, Mark Justice, Wynne Scott Eckert, Matthew Ball, and Harlan Ellison. Yeah, Harlan Ellison. The story from Harlan Ellison is called The Soul of Solomon. It teams up the Green Hornet with none other than another favorite pulp character of mine, the Phantom. Phenomenal book, guys. Every story, at least I thought so. If you like pulp and adventure and all that stuff, every story is a banger. Like The Night Car by Will Murray, where a scientist is trying to deduce who the Green Hornet really is with a computerized tracking system that tracks his vehicle's movements throughout the city and where the vehicle always goes every night to hide, which gives, they figure that out. They know the Green Hornet's in that vicinity, and they'll get him. The next story, like I Had the Green Hornet's Love Child by Greg Cox. That is a hilariously good story. This woman, she was with a criminal, had a kid with him, didn't realize he was a criminal, and then he ran off. She had to find some way to support herself and the baby, so she writes these sensational stories about the Green Hornet and the kid being his, sells it to like an Inquirer / World Weekly News type trash paper, makes gobs of money, but then the mob thinks that it's true and wants to kidnap her and the kid to get the Green Hornet. There is an awesome story in here about Kato's life before he was saved, and his origin. There's another story in here where the Green Hornet gets jumped, loses his hat and mask, and it's going to get auctioned off at a super secret auction to all these mob bosses. Okay. Just awesome stuff. And there's a really neat story in here called The Crimson Dragon, which is kind of like like the old cliffhanger serials where they're trying to hunt down this new villain that's in town, and who's calling him or herself the Crimson Dragon, and turns out, well, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but it's really cool. Lots of cliffhanger, and every story is action packed. You got Kato doing what Kato does best. You got the Green Hornet being the Green Hornet, Britt Reed, the whole 9 yards. I mean, everything is spot on, developed well, written well. The Soul of Solomon by Harlan Ellison. I have to at least say this. It is an unfinished story. And Harlan Ellison goes in and writes about why he didn't finish the story, as only Harlan Ellison does. Because if we all know Harlan Ellison, how he can be. It's funny. I met way back in the day. I was in my 20s. I was like, I'm talking between 24, 25. I met Jerome Bixby, famous sci-fi writer, and he also wrote Twilight Zone. He wrote a lot of early sci-fi novels. He wrote It, the Terror from Beyond Space, classic black and white movie, which ended up being the basis for Alien movie that Ridley Scott did in 1979 and tried to sue him for stealing the idea. And of course, Ridley Scott has more money and lawyers than Jerome, so you know who lost that. And I also met Harlan Ellison, and honestly, I got to be 100% honest here. While I agree with Harlan Ellison's genius, and every award he ever won is well deserved, as a person, not so much. I mean, Jerome Bixby was down to earth, really nice. I even know his son. I got a lot of posters and old movie posters and stuff like that from his son, because that's the son's business: stills, movie posters, all that kind of crap, But yeah, this book was so good. It's like a little over 350 pages, okay, with 19 short stories, an introduction, an interview with the creator of The Black Beauty, and writers' biographies, and art for every story in here, just like in the pulps, art for every story. Well worth it. I love this enough that I went out and bought the second volume, which has a great cover by Mike Kaluta. Okay. And this year, at the beginning of this year, they did a Kickstarter to do the third volume, which is going to have more great writers like Timothy Zahn and many others. And it's finally gone to printer. So I'm hoping and I'm praying, Lord, make it so, please, if it's your will, to get that third volume in before the end of 2025. So that can be on my TBR for 2026. Now, Moonstone Books has been around for many, many years. They do a lot of licensed products. They had the Phantom. They do the Spider. They do Green Hornet. One of the big sellers for them is Kolchak and Buckaroo Banzai. Okay. Yes, Buckaroo Banzai in comics and books, people. Yes. The movie sequel's never going to happen because the rights are lost in obscurity, one of those things. But the creators still own the original rights to the original characters and original story. So they write books and comics continuing from their original story about Buckaroo Banzai and all that. But yeah, and then pulp. They do tons of pulp. And if you're interested in seeing some of the modern pulp from Moonstone, comment below and let me know. I'll be happy to show you. I was into pulp growing up because that's when all the Bantam paperbacks for Doc Savage and the Avenger were coming out. The Pyramid Shadows was before my time, but during the 60s and 70s, I was there for Doc Savage and the Avenger. Okay. And this renewed my interest. So I started, and then I got into the Shadow and I got a bunch of those now. So yeah, I can't recommend this enough. Now, if you don't buy from Moonstone direct or you don't get the books right when they come out, they end up being very expensive. I got this one on the cheap because, as you can see, it is a public library cast-off. Okay, and it's even got the plastic on the cover to protect it. So I got this on the cheap. I paid a reasonable amount. And it was well worth it. But you'll see Moonstone books if you check Phoebe and other places, other online selling sources other than their Moonstone website, which is moonstone.com or moonstonebooks.com, or download their app, the Moonstone app. They're going to be quite expensive. Like I backed a Kolchak book they did 50-year anniversary few years ago, and it was $35, but now it sells for over 70, 80 online. So grab books when you can. You'll like them. And they do a lot. They do Moon Man, Black Bat, Golden Amazon. I mean, you name it, a lot of the obscure pulpy heroes that are incredibly cool and well worth reading. And Green Hornet is always worth the read. Green Hornet and is a lot like the Sandman back here. He uses a gas gun, doesn't really do that much fighting, but he can if he has to. Except, my boy the Sandman, he does not have a Kato. If we all had a Kato, the world would be a much better place. Let's just put it that way. But I've rambled on enough. Check out Moonstone Books. Check out the Green Hornet Chronicles, Green Hornet Case Files, and download their app. No, I'm not. I don't get sponsored by them. I've never talked to anyone who works at Moonstone. I just love their product. Also, if you're interested in seeing other companies pushing modern pulp, let me know in the comments below, because I have a bunch of that too from companies like Hangar 27 and Pulp 2.0, all that stuff. There's a lot of small companies out there keeping pulp alive, and it's worth supporting them. But I thank you for watching very much. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video or not. If you're not a subscriber already, hey, subscribe or not. It's up to you. It's a free country, And if you know anyone else who might be interested in the Green Hornet or pulps or anything I talk about, cool. Share the video or not. Like I said, it's a free country. My next video will be the TBR I have I already have it planned out, first quarter of 2026. That's right. I've got 22 books that, if all goes right, will be read by the end of the first quarter of 2026. And I'm going to do a video about that. I have a video coming up I also finished my Wrath of the Spectre omnibus, and we're going to talk about that, do a review on that. And I definitely suggest you get that, because trying to find the individual floppy issues that's in that book is going to cost you a heck of a lot more than the omnibus does. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. God bless each and every one of you. And I will see you all on the next video. And whenever you're making this or watching this video, I hope you make it a great day, or that your day was already made great. Goodbye for now.